Hi, my name is Fletcher Wimbush. I'm the CEO of Discover, a performance hiring software platform. I'm looking forward to talking to you about this today. We all want to hire A players. I don't think there's anybody who runs a business or is a business leader that wants B or C players, but I think many of us find ourselves with teams of just okay or mediocre people wishing that we could level up our talent. And the reason why this happens is oftentimes there's no real strategy for A, attracting A players, and B, how to figure out whether you've got one or not. So once you've built that pool, evaluating them effectively so that you actually make a successful hire. And it can take too long and feel too hard to have to execute a thorough process to identify those A players. Really, the solution to this is you really need to install a repeatable system and process, preferably one that's proven to increase results. Personally, I spent a lifetime studying this subject, of getting the right people on the bus, building teams. Even when I was in high school, I wrote a paper on how to get the right people on the bus and build winning organizations, all through talent acquisition. As I got into my early career and I started running businesses for real, I started studying the pros. Folks like Lou Adler or the top grading guys, Mark Murphy, Leadership IQ, my father's material coming from his book, Hiring Talented Team Players. And I found many of them had common themes. I kind of equated to, if any of you have been through a sales training or read multiple sales books, a lot of them follow the same best practices, and there's a reason why. In the hiring game, a lot of these processes and tools have been validated to actually predict all the way up to 90%, 9 out of 10 times, make a successful hire if you follow the process. And it's difficult to follow if you don't have a plan, you don't have a process or a system in place. The other thing is these processes and systems, they can be complicated or difficult to master, just like mastering marketing or sales or any other part of your business. Without a lot of time and energy or practice or effort to refine and to get it down so that it's a repeatable process for you that comes more naturally, that's the goal, it's important that we focus in on doing that, right? Here is the process that I follow and that has been validated by these great minds in the hiring kind of thought leadership space in helping you identify your A players. So first, it starts with building a pool of talent that's worth even evaluating. So I'm going to save that for another video, but I would encourage you to check out our video on how do you attract A players. Once we've built that pool, we've identified some candidates that we think might actually be a high prospective candidate or high potential candidate, we need a candidate evaluation process to put these folks through that is repeatable and will help us identify that. So it all starts by really understanding what are the measurable outcomes that you're looking for in a particular position or role. So we want to take the job description and not just leave it as a list of duties and responsibilities, but a defined outcome that we hope those folks to achieve. From there, we're able to create a candidate scorecard, a list of qualities, experiences, skill sets that are required in order to execute the outcome that we're hoping for, right? Now, from here, we can begin our first initial interviews. And a common mistake is initial interviews often are meet and greets, which are important. We want to set the stage, we want to engage our talent pool, but we forget to begin serious assessment of the candidate. So we want to have a powerful, repeatable first interview, which I'll talk to you more about when we get into what we call our Power Interview Guide, and it's a great framework for your first interview. So I'll encourage you to check that next video out. So once you do that, you can assess and get the initial information that you need to know whether this person is highly likely to be successful or not right off the bat in that first interview. Secondarily, I like to back up that first interview with a series of assessments. So behavioral, aptitude, skill, and culture fit assessments, depending on the role. I'm going to use a combination of these tools to help me either solidify my initial impression or to help me further identify areas of concern, or maybe give somebody I was thinking about overlooking a second chance. The second big piece of this is we want to do a career history style interview. It's come from Top Grade. They do a really good job of walking candidates through their entire career history and focusing in on the measurable accomplishments that these people have had. These things will help you identify whether the person has the right experience, toolkit, skills, and background that fits the scorecard, the qualities that we're looking for that will help us predict whether this person can achieve the measurable outcomes, right? If conducted correctly, it will take you anywhere from 1 to 3 hours, depending on the level of the role, and you will know everything about a candidate that you could ever possibly want to know, and you're going to be able to make a highly predictive, educated decision about whether this person's worthy or not. The other big piece of career history interviews is it sets up one of the most important techniques in evaluating candidates, which is what I'll call the reference question. And we're going to spend a whole video on talking about how to execute that. But the short story of the reference question is it's going to help you identify who the previous supervisors were of this candidate and what those people will say about that individual, whether or not these people will even speak to you or not to provide that reference, which tells you almost everything you need to know about the candidate, and subsequently set you up so that the candidate is scheduling those reference calls for you, speeding up the process. After we get through these steps, now we move on to that. Have the candidates set up calls with their previous direct supervisor, typically thinking anywhere from 2 to 4 or 10 to 15 years worth of previous supervisors we want to speak with. The candidate's going to call these people and say, hey, Fletcher or your hiring manager wants to speak with you. When's a good time? And get that on the books for us, and that's going to speed up that process of actually speaking to the references. Once we've done that, we should be pretty close to making a final decision, right? We had a powerful first interview. We've thoroughly assessed these people using more objective assessment tests. We've conducted an in-depth career history style interview that really taught us everything we need to know about the candidate, and we speak to their previous direct supervisors. And if all of this is in alignment with the scorecard qualities and skills and attributes that we're looking for, now we have a high degree of confidence to take the final step, which is a really important one we often overlook. And I call it a working interview. A working interview can come in multiple different shapes and sizes. It could be I give the person a test project. They could be shadowing somebody doing the job. They could be spending time meeting various different people in the organization. They could be creating an onboarding plan, a SWOT analysis. There's a number of different activities that you can have this person do that starts to get them integrated into your organization, getting them connected with others in the organization, doing some of the key aspects of the job. And all of this helps not only you evaluate the candidate's potential, but also creates an opportunity for the candidate to get to know you and your organization to make sure that this is the type of place that they want to be at for the long term. So it's a crucial step, typically a half to a full day that you're going to do this. So once we get through that step, we should all, both the candidate and us as evaluators of the candidate, should be able to make a very confident decision in our hiring process here. All of this can be done if you have a process and a system in place and you're committed to moving through the steps quickly in under 7 to 10 days. So it's 3 in-person interactions, 2 additional assessment tools, testing and references. All of these things are helping you move through and accelerate and make a confident, well-informed, fact-driven hiring decision. So these are the processes that we educate our clients on. As we move forward in this video series, we're going to take a deep dive into many of these subtopics. So if this was interesting, you want to know more, hit subscribe, hit like, share our content on LinkedIn, Facebook. We appreciate that. And we look forward to seeing you in future videos where we're going to take a deeper dive into each one of these components.